Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
So we have a metal detector because several years ago, 2013, 2014, some friends of mine lost a child, and
As you do sometimes.
Yeah. No, she passed.
Oh Jesus! I'm so sorry. We're gonna cut that right. Let's start over.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a toddler, and she had recently passed away, and he was fishing in our front yard, which is 11 acres of it is like what you'd call a farm pond, like a real murky.
Yeah.
The bottom of it's not very solid. If you put your feet into it,
That's
you
how
can't.
ours is.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, like there's not solid ground. It's like muck from your knee to your feet.
Yeah.
So they were fishing in it, and at no part of this lake is it deeper than 8 feet.
Okay.
So it's a small thing, but it's got incredible bass fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were fishing, and he dropped his phone in the water, and it had his videos of his daughter, who again had passed about a month before then.
Wow. Yeah.
And so this is water that I've never even wanted to dip my toe in. It's it's creek fed and spring fed, so it's clean water, but there's some creatures. Have you ever seen a grinnell or a gar?
I've seen a gar.
Grinnell's similar, but their heads are rounded. They're just long, dinosaur-looking
Yep.
fish that have
Terrifying looking.
teeth and
yeah.
ray fins that go all the way
I'll
down
tell
their
you the
back.
one that I have an absolute, completely irrational fear over is
anglerfish.
no. We have those giant snapping turtles out there in our little lake.
That's not an irrational fear. That's a
Right.
rational fear.
Right. And I, for whatever the reason, have decided that the part of my body they're going to be most interested in is going to be my schmeckle. And I'm afraid that I am going to lose.
That is a legitimate fear.
Yeah, it's a really odd fear.
Keep that thing tucked in, dude.
I'm trying. Listen.
There's ways to avoid this.
I know. It doesn't. Again, it's an irrational fear. I said that up front. Maybe I wasn't clear. Anyways, those things could take obviously they can bite your finger off like we would eat a carrot. Like it's really nothing to them. And for some reason, any part of my body getting bit by them just sounds terrifying. But anyways, that's why I won't really swim in there very much. So.
That's
why I stay out of that pond.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, it's gorgeous. I love to look at it. I will sit by it.
Is it like alligator snapping turtle?
Yes, alligator snapping
Okay,
turtle.
because I encountered one while it was crossing the road and took some pictures, and the
mess with
woodsman of my social media friend group
Yep.
popped up with some fun facts and the things that they could snap in half with
yeah.
their jaws. So no,
It's unreal. Yeah.
That's a legitimate fear, but. Okay, so the friend dropped the phone in this lake, and we said, "Oh, we are going to find it."
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a worthwhile
So
cause.
here we go into this murky water with creatures unimaginable. Like a leviathan lives in there. I know it.
Yes.
Have you ever seen grass carp?
Yes, we have them. They are over 3 foot long.
Yes,
and massive. They're very gentle, though.
Yeah, they're not dangerous.
No.
But they're still unsettling to be surrounded by things that are that large. Yeah. So anyhow, into the water. Also, the sun is setting. So we had, one of my nephews had a metal detector, but it was, like the kind you buy for a kid, I think. So nobody believed it. When it beeped, we couldn't get it to beep again. And we're just like, oh, it's just a kid's toy. So we kind of sent it on its way. At one point, there was like 7 or 8 adults in the dark in this chest deep, brackish, warmish, not brackish, but it was kind of warm, tepid, murky. Yes. And feeling around with our feet in the dark.
Yep.
All the predators feed at night. I don't.
Do.
Anyhow,
if there is a Loch Ness monster in there, it's definitely going to wake up. The Kraken's in there. Everything comes out at night.
Yes. Gosh, I'm glad that you mentioned that after. Anyhow, we can't find it. And when I say this many people, like my brother-in-law and sister-in-law knew what we were doing and why, and they like left their house and came over to jump in with us. Like everybody was trying to help.
Yeah, for sure.
This was an important thing.
For sure.
I asked if anybody had a metal detector on social media, and 1 or 2 people were like, "Why do you need it?" And I have a sister-in-law who she just has a way of solving problems or making good connections. So she somehow, I don't remember the exact connection, but she said there's this diving group that I follow or rescue group or something, and she made a connection and put me in contact with the guy, and we were asking how can we look or whatever, and he says, I'll come up and I'll be happy to come look. If you'll cover my gas to get there, I'll come do it. Oh, wow. So he showed up. I was working out of town, so the friend came over and met him that morning.
Yeah.
He dove with like scuba gear,
yep.
looking around, and he's like, the water's clear, but the bottom's so murky, I can't really see anything. He dove for like 8 hours. He spent the entire day. This is a guy who recovers bodies from cars. Wow. He has found engagement rings in boat marinas where, people lose their temper and forget it and throw it, and then they're like, sorry.
Yeah.
He does this for a living. I mean, not for a living, but
a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. He's a pro.
And still spent 8 hours, several hours away from home. And he was just about to give up because he had covered the entire area. And he's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't know what else to try. He said, I'll just give it a once over, one more time with a metal detector. And he went back over it, and it went off, and he went down, and he found it.
Oh, my.
9 days after the phone had fallen into the water, 8 hours of diving.
Yeah.
It had basically landed vertically, and while we were, I think when they jumped out of the boat, they must have landed on top of it and just pushed it further down into the muck.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably why the metal detectors weren't going off much, because there was so little area for it to pick up to kind of trigger. Pulled it out of the water, let it dry out, plugged it in, and it charged right back up. He was able to recover.
iPhone or Android?
Do I remember that part of the story? It was in a life-proof case.
Okay,
I can tell you that
that's
much.
All that matters.
Yeah,
but
I can say
good job, life-proof.
8 feet of water for 9 days.
Dang.
We did send that company an email of thanks.
Like, you guys build a great product. Oh my God.
But it was in the midst of all that
That's a beautiful story, though.
Yeah, that was why I ordered
I cannot even imagine.
Waterproof
he probably just had
metal detector.
Not only just the loss of everything, but like the guilt of probably. I don't know if he's still married or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so just like I can't even imagine like telling your wife like, oh hey, by the way, honey, like all these pictures, everything.
Yeah, and God. I think I remember him saying like he was afraid to even plug it in because what if it's still wet inside and it fries it? So they had it in the bag of rice, doing every dry out trick for far longer than is necessary, just because they didn't want to take a chance after recovering it. And it was a pretty emotional thing just to be able to get those memories back. It was so special.
That's precious.
The rescue guy is still a hero in our eyes.
Yeah.
His name is Mark Michaud, Michaud. He lives in Louisiana, and they do good work.
What a good man.
Yeah, for real. Dedicate your time to just
Making the world...
Doing things that other people can't do. Like, there's not a ton
fair.
of people with that particular set of skills.
Agreed.
But also with the fortitude. Like, diving to recover a body is not a thing that I could do recreationally. And there's so many people that are skilled specifically so that they can do that. I'm like, that first responder, you want to talk about a job I'd be bad at? That is being a first responder.
Yes, me too. Like, oh no, blood. Okay, I'm out.
Yup.
I hope things work out for you. Yeah.
I was the first person to drive up on an accident one time, and I was useless. I mean, I called and told them what mile marker on the interstate and which direction, and I could handle that aspect of it. But I was like, if you want me to touch a body, I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's I wonder now. I think my stomach's gotten slightly stronger. I used to get really dizzy and almost faint at the sight of blood. I don't think I'm that bad anymore, but I still get like queasy when people are in a lot of pain or things are broken or crunching. I just, yeah, it's tough. Yeah.
Now, if your body doesn't look like it's supposed to,
yeah.
I absolutely can't do it. And it was crazy at that particular accident. I watched the accident happen. Like, I'm driving down a 4-lane interstate, and I see it coming across the median, like flipping. So I saw the thing happen. And I had just maybe 2 weeks before finished a CPR class so that I could, just in case I ever needed it.
Yeah.
And then here was the opportunity, and I was like, okay. But I could not make myself approach these people, and they didn't need CPR, fortunately. Perhaps I could have overcome it. I don't think I could have. I think God makes different folks into different folks. But as I'm like on the phone telling them where to bring the helicopter and the ambulance, another lady coming from the other direction parks her car and is like running full speed to get to the scene, and she's wearing scrubs. She's in the medical profession, you could tell. And she couldn't get her hands on these people fast enough.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank God that we're all different.
Yes. I know, right? It's so true. Yeah, you're 100% right. Yeah, because I always think of my thing is like I have such strong sympathetic reaction. I'm feeling the person. And that sounds kind of nice until you realize how worthless it is in true, like, emergency situations. And you kind of want the person that's like, oh, yeah.
I can turn that off for a moment.
Absolutely.
Because I've got something to do.
Or they just don't have that. It's just like they get excited about the chance to, like, jump in and help and get their hands dirty. And, like, I remember I briefly dated this young lady who was a ER nurse, I think is what she was.
All I can say is wow to that. I would be the worst suited person for an ER job.
Absolutely. I'd be like, can you hand me the whatevers? And I'd be like, yeah, I'll throw it to you from across the room. Like, I don't want to be anywhere close to this. Anyways, she literally told me that one of her one of the biggest highs she ever got, and she only done it like 3 times, were when she got to do heart compressions and break people's ribs. And by the way, this is not like a tormented, sick lady. She was really awesome. She was a cool chick. But she was like, and I was like, wait, why? That sounds horrific. And she was like, no, it means that I'm putting so much effort into like reviving the heart, doing heart compressions that I literally broke a rib. She's like, I was doing my job. I was like, oh my God, that's horrific. But yes, you just saved somebody's life, and I guess ribs heal. Yeah, I just realized to your point.
To do that properly, I recently was reading an article about CPR. To do CPR properly, like so rarely in real life is it actually effective.
Oh, wow.
I mean, statistically, it was something like 20% of the time. Because it's difficult, and I guess also because the circumstance you're walking up on, you're already at a disadvantage.
Sure, yeah.
So when she says cracking ribs and doing, I think it actually requires that, and that's another reason why I'm not here for it.
Yeah.
I would like to think that I am. I've got a friend who keeps the little mouth covering piece in his pocket so that if he ever happens to need to give CPR, he has his own little mouthpiece so he can do it hygienically.
In his little mouth.
Yeah, I'm like, what a Boy Scout thing to do, but also like what a servant's heart. Like you're just walking around ready.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm never renewing my CPR and first aid certification because I learned that is not for me.
That's right. You're going to see Jesus today, my friend. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.